Hi everybody, Film Brown here at the Movies with Film. You know, we've got a great vault where we hold our films. We also have a crypt. This is the Crypt of Horror down here at Kirkwood. Hard to believe that we have a Crypt of Horror at Kirkwood, but gotta make sense that a place of higher education would have something like that. Well, got a great film for you tonight too, Crypt of Horror. Well, sometimes it's called The Malediction of the Karsteins. It's one of those great films that come out of Italy in the early 60s, 1963. Stars Christopher Lee. Now, you know Christopher Lee came out of the Hammer tradition, was probably the best Dracula since Bela Lugosi to come along. And he worked very heavy in playing those roles at Hammer and the Frankenstein creature and things like that. Well, he also worked heavy in Italy, in Spain, and in Germany. This film is directed by a guy named Camillo Mastrocinque. Now, you'll see a different name on the credits there, but it's Mastrocinque is the real name. He also made a film called Angel for Satan, which starred Barbara Steele, another one of our favorite actors. Now, this film is one of your, well, typical stories that come out of the Italian film tradition, very much influenced by Mario Bava's Black Sunday. Deals with a witch some time back who is executed and does one of those things where there's a curse on the family and I'm going to come back and get you. Now, one of the problems with the print that we have right here is this film was shot widescreen. Our print is not widescreen, it's a pan and scan. So one of the great scenes where the witch is saying, I come back to curse you folks, I'm going to kill your family and all that stuff, you don't see her in the shot. So gonna have to pretend like that voice that's coming off from the left-hand side of the frame is her. You kind of see a little bit of her body. Not bad. Christopher Lee does a great job in this. He's afraid, in the present tense of this film, that his daughter is going to be the cursed reincarnation of this individual and coming back to destroy the Karnstein family. So there is really a lot to fear on the Christopher Lee side. Well, while we're going to give you a little more info on this, let's take a little walk here. I hear voices down here. It's kind of frightening. People, I don't know, do they keep people down here still? What do they do with them when they keep them down here? That's the thing that I wonder. Look at this panel right here. Whoa! Look at the panel here. The gauges here, all showing that things are running up to speed. Do we dare go over that way? I don't know. Let me take a look. It's going to get a little noisy. I wonder if there's sort of like a pit and the pendulum type of thing over here, or like a rack. Maybe they got somebody out here that they're stretching out. Maybe this person has done something bad and they're, well, going to have them out here. Maybe their head's going to get cut off or something when we go around the corner here. I don't know. Not much. Kind of had me set up there. I thought something horrible was going to happen, but that night. Oh, this is like a graveyard down here, a graveyard of equipment. Down for a technological type of institution like we've got, you know, rather than cadavers and things like that laying in little niches and things. We lay our guys out here on these little shelves here. We've got televisions and we've got all the devices that are, well, I'm not sure if any of these are working still, so this might be like the Crypt of Karnstein down here. Now, the film is written by Ernesto Gastaldi. Now, his name is going to be Jules Berry on this film, but you know Gastaldi. He wrote one of the great films that we've shown on here called What, or Whip in the Body for Mario Bava. And it really kind of has that kind of really crepuscular look to it. This film has a great atmospheric feel, great black and white photography, great uses of sound. You got this bell tower that keeps ringing in the middle of the night. They keep thinking it's the wind. I won't tell you what it really turns out to be at one point. Real spooky, kind of cool like. It kind of surprised me. Another guy who worked on this film was a guy named Villari, Tonino Villari. And he is a guy who, well, he directed some things. He directed My Name is Nobody, so he worked in the Italian spaghetti western tradition. Christopher Lee does a really nice job in this film. I really enjoyed this. I read some very negative things about this film, and saying that it came off a little bit wooden, you know, it goes for poetic resonance and sexual eroticism and so on, and it didn't come off. I think it works. This film is based on Sheridan Le Fanu's Carmilla, which is one of those great early vampire stories about a female vampire, and a lot of films have been based on that story, and they do a good job on that. You know that there's that lesbian undertone or less than undertone that comes through in that story that the filmmakers at this time period in the 60s are going to really tap into. Kind of interesting how they work that out in this film. Well, folks, I'm going to take a look around a little bit more in here. Boy, I wish that we could have saw something more dastardly when we ran around the corner. You know, kind of some guy working with a rope.
You want to see something dastardly? I know where to go to.
Where's that?
ATS.
Master Control?
Or AE.
I wonder what's behind that door. You know, vaults, crypts have all these niches that you don't know what it is. You know, maybe we go behind there. Ooh, maybe it's people that are smoking behind there, right? And we're going to have to, you know, keep them on track. Now let's keep walking. Crypt of Horror is a real great film. It not to be mistaken for another film that's called Crypt of Horror, which we call in this country most often Castle of the Walking Dead, which is not itself to be confused with a West German film called Castle of the Walking Dead, which is actually called the Blood Monster. So there's a lot of films that have different kinds of titles. Hey, take a look in there. This is where they put some of the people down here when they've done bad things. Okay, see them suffering down there. Yes, that's right. They suffer horribly in this Crypt of Horror down here. Well, let's get ourselves out of here. I'm getting kind of claustrophobic. I don't like the closed spaces. And I don't like closed spaces with a lot of sounds going on that I don't know what they are. Makes me think I'm at the dentist's office. Well, gosh, ooh. You know, I can't get out of here fast enough. Oh, this reminds me of some great stuff from Dawn of the Dead, one of my favorite films. I love Dawn of the Dead. Give me daylight, please. You don't want to go down into the Crypt of Horror unless you really have to, you know. And we took sort of a tourism type of angle on that, so we're, you know, just leaving. We were not there to stay. We're lucky. Some people have to live down there. Well, folks, hoping that you're going to enjoy the film Crypt of Horror. I think it's one of the great films that we have for you. Very atmospheric, great use of sound. I really enjoyed it. Why don't you roll them, Smokey?
Hey, look, a poster.